John was a 25-year-old traveler who loved exploring places that most people avoided. One cool autumn afternoon, he packed his backpack and began a long journey through a remote mountain region. According to his map, the quickest route passed through an ancient forest. The locals had warned him never to enter it after sunset because believed restless spirits wandered among the trees. John smiled politely, thinking the stories were nothing more than old legends. As he walked deeper into the forest, the sunlight slowly disappeared behind thick branches. Strange silence filled the air. There were no birds singing, no insects buzzing, only the sound of dry leaves crunching beneath his boots. John checked his map, but something was wrong. The trail he had been following had vanished. Every direction looked exactly the same. He walked faster, hoping to find the path again. But the deeper he went, the darker the forest became. A freezing wind suddenly swept through the trees. Then he heard it. Soft whispers. At first, they sounded like the wind, but soon they became clear voices calling his name. John. He turned around quickly. Nobody was there. His heart started racing. The whispers grew louder from every direction. Dark shadows moved between the trees, disappearing whenever he looked directly at them. John told himself to stay calm. He remembered reading that panic often leads people to make bad decisions in dangerous places. Instead of running blindly, he took a deep breath and searched for anything useful. Nearby, he found a long wooden branch and picked it up. It wasn't much, but it made him feel less helpless. Without warning, a ghostly figure appeared behind a dead tree. Its glowing white eyes stared directly at him. Moments later, dozens of shadowy spirits emerged from the darkness, surrounding him in complete silence. The ghosts slowly moved closer. John swung the branch, but it passed straight through the nearest spirit. The ghosts let out chilling screams that echoed across the forest. The ground shook violently. Dead leaves swirled into the air like a dark storm. John realized fighting them was impossible. He remembered another piece of advice from an old traveler he had once met. When the forest steals your path, follow the flowing water. Listening carefully, John heard the faint sound of a river somewhere beyond the trees. Ignoring the terrifying whispers behind him, he ran toward the sound. The ghosts chased him. Cold hands seemed to brush against his shoulders. Strange shadows reached for his feet. Branches snapped all around him. Finally, he burst through the trees and reached a fast-moving river glowing beneath the moonlight. The spirits stopped at the riverbank. They screamed with rage but refused to cross the water. John quickly gathered fallen logs and tied them together with strong vines he found nearby. Working as fast as he could, he built a small floating raft. The ghosts continued watching from the forest, their glowing eyes burning through the darkness. As soon as the raft was ready, John pushed it into the river and climbed aboard. The current carried him downstream. For several minutes, the ghosts followed along the riverbank, shrieking and reaching toward him. But they never entered the water. Slowly, the haunted forest disappeared into the distance. Just before sunrise, John reached a small village. The villagers were shocked to see him alive. An elderly man quietly explained that the ancient forest had claimed many travelers over the years. According to local legend, the spirits could trap anyone who lost hope, but they could not cross running water. John looked back toward the distant trees. For a brief moment, he thought he saw pale figures standing between the shadows, silently watching him leave. He never traveled through that forest again. Even years later, whenever the wind whispered through the trees at night, John remembered the glowing eyes, the chilling voices, and the terrifying forest that almost became his final destination.